Hi, everyone. My name is Randall, and I am from the ITRC. And with me today are Lisa Kidder, Cathy Leavitt, and Mark Cooper. And we'll be talking today about interactivity in ISU Canvas, H5P solutions. And as a quick overview of what we'll talk about today, we'll discuss interactivity, what we mean by that for today's session, and active learning. And we'll talk about the Canvas way of adding interactivity and three of the specific things that we're going to talk about, three of the solutions that you can use for H5P in the transition from Moodle to Canvas will be atomic assessments, Panopto, and Pressbooks. And so up next, Lisa is going to tell us more about interactivity and active learning.
Thank you, Ryan. Interactivity invites active learning. Back in 1991, Bonwell and Eisen described this as learners do something and then they think about what they're doing and describe that as active learning. More recently, D. Fink described significant learning experiences, which is related to active learning, and described it as you encounter new material, you engage with the material, and then you reflect on the material. And the three of these things together creates active learning or a significant learning experience that supports students. There's lots of active learning strategies out there. Here's a list of things that you've probably heard about, seen, even participated in. The majority of the items in the left-hand column are things that we think about in a traditional classroom setting. The ones on the right tend to be ones that we use more in the online environment, but just know that they can be interchanged and tools are available to support many of these different strategies. A lot of the interactivity in Moodle was included with H5P. So either by selecting the activity, or when you were creating content, selecting the H5P icon. Now that we are moving over to Canvas, the way in Canvas is whenever you have the rich content editor, generally you'll be making pages in Canvas and putting your content and links to things and embed videos and all of those things. But right up here, there is at the top a plug icon. And if your screen is wide enough, you'll see it just like it is here. But if your screen is smaller, you may need to click the three dots. But this little plug actually accesses a number of tools that have been connected with Canvas. So this is the Canvas way to add some of those interactivity pieces within a page on Canvas. Next up, Mark's going to talk to us about one of those tools, atomic assessments.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, atomic assessments. That is a Canvas plugin that enhances question interactivity and engagement. And what that means is, so you have with regular, just standard Canvas, a number of question types in a quiz. What atomic assessment does is it greatly expands it. I think there's 30 or 40 additional question types that are added to this application. And those are things like drag and drops, hotspots, matching, ordering, and much, much more to that. It also has enhanced immediate feedback to give you insights on correct answers and common mistakes. And so there's a lot of things that you can do to play with that, as well as some gamification features. So if you're looking to add that active learning component, gamification could help with that, with having activities that have point systems or a timer or scoring elements to them. Why should you go with atomic assessments? And the reasons are pretty straightforward. It's engaging, and if you're used to using the Moodle books and lessons, this is a way to use something similar in Canvas, because Canvas doesn't have a book or a lesson equivalent. So this allows you to replicate that, and with more interactive options and features. And then also improved engagement is another reason why you should use atomic assessment. And that's because of the dynamic questioning types. and how to use atomic assessments. And Lisa explained this a little bit earlier with the plug, but I wanted to talk about how, with atomic assessments, what's really nice about this is it's not just quiz questions in a quiz activity. Anywhere that there is an editor, you can integrate atomic assessments. So you can have a page that has content or video or something like that. And if you want to have a knowledge check, you can insert an atomic assessment question type right there in the page. So basically any place in Canvas where there is an editor, you can use the atomic assessments to include some questions. And just like we had shown earlier, on the toolbar for the Canvas editor, you want to look for the plug. And in this case, mine is on a second row. So I had to click those three buttons over here on the right-hand side. And then it will enable this second level of options. And if I click on the plug with the drop-down arrow, a Dropbox comes along and I can choose atomic assessments there. And then it'll just insert that into your page or wherever you're inserting it into. So next I'm going to turn it over to Cathy and she's going to talk about Panopto.
Thank you, Mark. So we have had previous Wednesday webinars on Panopto, and I'm just going to briefly talk about what Panopto is. So it's a video hosting platform for instructor-created videos. Unfortunately, we cannot upload YouTube or copyrighted material to Panopto, but to create that initial course folder for Panopto in Moodle, you're going to click on the activity card that says Panopto LTI, and then in Canvas, you're going to open a page, start a page, and click on the Panopto icon in the editor. And that automatically creates that folder from which you can then create some interactive components. So why Panopto? It offers students learners the opportunity to engage in and reflect on the content that you've uploaded. It's can be a type of formative assessment. Grades can be created based on the percentage of the video watched or the percentage correct on embedded questions. And you can view the statistics behind the video and in the embedded questions or the percentage watched behind the scenes in Panopto, or you can choose to add those grades or leave them out. That's your choice in Canvas and Moodle in the gradebook. And the nice thing about embedding questions in Panopto is it gives students immediate feedback on what they're watching and what the most important topics or information from that video might be. So in the chat, I'm going to drop our Panopto playlist, and will give you some more information about how to use Panopto and how to embed those questions in the video. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan to talk about Pressbooks.
Great. Thanks, Cathy. So ISU Pressbooks, this is perhaps not the ideal screenshot, but what this does is it lets you see that you can have H5P activities embedded in ISU Pressbooks. So at the very, very top, you can see a sliver of the content of the Pressbook, the words written by the author. Then that really big bit in the middle is a drag and drop activity that one could have used in Moodle, but that's been brought over into ISU Pressbooks. And then at the bottom of the screen, you can see resources with some links and the left and right navigation links to go through ISU Pressbooks. I jumped into saying, this is what the interface is, this is what it looks like, just so you can sort of imagine what ISU Pressbooks looks like, because it does take you outside of Canvas. And so I'll start explaining a little bit further now that you've sort of got a mental image of what ISU Pressbooks might look like. So ISU Pressbooks is a platform totally separate from Canvas. So unlike the previous things we've been talking about that are in Canvas, this is outside of it. It is free to ISU instructors and students, and it's paid for by the Idaho State Board of Education. They're paying for it because they're intending every public education education institution in the state has it available to use for open educational resources. And much as Cathy was saying, we have other videos about Panopto. We have a few other videos about ISU Pressbooks. So I'll put a link into the chat in a moment. But that's sort of an overview of ISU Pressbooks, what it is, and why might you want to use it for interactivity specifically. If there's an H5P activity that is perfect as it is right now, you cannot imagine it still having the same type of interactivity in one of the other alternative types. It wouldn't work in Panopto, and it wouldn't work in anything with atomic assessments. Then we can have it as a fallback. You can bring it into ISU Pressbooks. And also it's good if you want to make the materials available outside of Canvas. If you're teaching dual credit, if you're teaching early college, if the content of your course, what you'd want to use, would fill a gap in the local industry, so you want the people who aren't taking ISU credit at the moment to be able to see it, or if, for instance, you're teaching a geology class that builds on a lot of information about national parks or state parks, so you want it to be available outside of just the students, those would all be great reasons to use ISU Pressbooks. Reasons you might not think of it as ideal in terms of interactivity for this specific alternative between Canvas and Pressbooks. Leaving Canvas is clunky as a student and as an instructor. So it's not ideal in terms of that experience. It requires learning a separate platform for you to author over there while we're also all learning Canvas. So it might not be the best time for you to start learning a second platform. And it also has smaller size limits on the H5P activity than Moodle has. And that's not something that we can control for ISU Pressbooks, unfortunately. So even if there is one that's ideal, it may not still come over into ISU Pressbooks effectively. So those are some of the trade-offs with ISU Pressbooks. It's great for many, many things. I would suggest that you really strongly consider really strongly consider Panopto or atomic assessments prior to thinking about ISU Pressbooks, as much as I really do think it's great that we have ISU Pressbooks for our community. Having said all that, I'll go ahead and ask if anyone present has questions that they'd like us to answer.
Thank you, Ryan. If you'd like to learn more about this topic and other topics related to the educational technology we support at the university, you can do that in a number of ways. And the first one is through our Tiger Tracks articles. And what these are a collection of how-to guides at your fingertips that walk you through various things related to Canvas, related to Moodle. We also have a Wednesday webinar video library. We do these Wednesday webinars every Wednesday, and after we finish them, we edit them and caption them and place them up on our YouTube channel. And so you can access that directly through that by a link. And I'm going to paste that link here into the Zoom chat. And you can also access it by QR code, but I know QR codes can be a little clunky. And you can also take a look at the schedule for Wednesday webinars, see what we're doing coming up. We will be doing Wednesday webinars all through the fall semester, and we will continue them into the spring semester. If you'd like to meet with the ITRC, you could do that simply by emailing us. You can give us a call at 208-282-5880, or you can visit us in person in the basement of the ISU library in the ITRC lab. You can also make an on-demand appointment with any one of our full-time staff, and we can meet with you by Zoom, by phone, in person, however you prefer. And finally, just stay tuned for future Wednesday webinars, and we always advertise those in the ISU Today. And I also want to advise you to peruse and bookmark the ISU Canvas Transition website. This is your one-stop go-to place for anything related to the Canvas transition. And here you can get help that you need if you're doing your course conversions. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope you have a great day.